Never forget, Donald Trump has always known that American Nazis love him. Never forget that. He called them good people when they were marching in Charlottesville, chanting, "Jews will not replace us." Never forget that. Donald Trump has always known that the Ku Klux Klan loves him. Every Republican has always known that about Donald Trump. Every Republican. All 10 Republicans who voted to impeach Donald Trump today already knew that America's Nazis love him. They knew so much about Donald Trump that they never complained about. They knew so much that did not move them to take action. Never forget. They knew what he was doing to children and infant babies at the southern border, separating them from their parents, and they did nothing. They knew what he was trying to do on that phone call with the president of Ukraine. They knew that was an impeachable offense, asking the president of Ukraine to take an action against Joe Biden. They knew, and they did nothing. They knew that that was an impeachable offense. If they pretended that it wasn't. Tom Rice represents a South Carolina district that is even more conservative than the entire state of South Carolina. So he has an even more conservative electorate than Lindsey Graham does statewide. He voted for impeachment today and issued a statement saying, "I have backed this president through thick and thin for 4 years. I campaigned for him and voted for him twice, but this utter failure is inexcusable." But it was completely predictable. Tom Rice wanted Donald Trump to be president. There was never any doubt that this is the kind of president Donald Trump would be. It is the kind of president Donald Trump has been every day of his presidency. Tom Rice's statement says, "I was on the floor of the House of Representatives when the rioters were beating on the door with tear gas, zip tie restraints, and pipe bombs in their possession. It is only by the grace of God and the blood of the Capitol Police that the death toll was not much, much higher." You mean higher like 17? The number of people murdered in Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland, Florida? Tom Rice and Donald Trump and every other Republican in Washington did absolutely nothing in response to that mass murder at that high school. Nothing. That mass murder was a lot scarier for those kids in that high school than it was for Tom Rice when he was on the floor hearing that beating on the door. Those kids in that high school heard a lot worse than beating on the door and suffered much more than any member of Congress did. I almost never use the word brave to describe doing the right thing in Congress. The bravest votes that I ever saw in Congress were some Democrats who voted for a tax increase in 1993, knowing that it was going to cost them their seat in the House and the Senate, but they thought it was a fiscally responsible thing to do. That's what I thought a brave vote was, until now. The 10 Republicans who voted for impeachment in the House today each cast a very brave vote, possibly the bravest vote I've ever seen. All the Democrats who voted for impeachment, especially the most publicly recognizable of them, cast what also might be the bravest vote of their lives, even though it was not a politically difficult vote for them to cast. It was a brave vote because today's vote for impeachment came with the threat of death, the threat of being assassinated by Donald Trump's homicidal maniacs who invaded the Capitol and might throw their guns in the car and get out on the interstate and go looking for those 10 Republicans and 222 Democrats who cast that vote against Donald Trump today. Someone who said they wanted to hang Mike Pence at the Capitol, someone who says he wants to kill for Donald Trump, might live in Tom Rice's district and have a very easy time finding him. Maybe someone like that could live in any of the districts of those Republicans who voted against Donald Trump today, and any of the districts of the Democrats who voted against Donald Trump today. This is the most dangerous time to be a member of Congress since the morning of 9/11, when the planes were in the air and the Capitol building was the biggest target in Washington.